Going on, everybody? Welcome into a almost live edition of Sunbelt baseball right now, right, Marv?
Yeah, there's several games that wrapped up. Let's see, one, two, probably half a dozen going right now, maybe more.
Yeah, we did not plan to go Tuesday for those tuning in. I know Seth was also gonna jump on had we gone Monday. However, we knew there was some important business to attend to as the Sunbelt was trying to figure out who their representative for March Madness, the NCAA tournament, was going to be. We now know that is Troy. So congratulations to the men's team over there. Congratulations to the women's team on James Madison's side. Troy almost went back-to-back. Well, they did go back-to-back in men's championships, but the women's team also almost won earlier in the day. James Madison prevented them from doing that, but they almost had both representatives in the tournament, which would have been kind of cool for them. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I got to shout out this cool thing that I got over the weekend, Marv.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. For the thing you weren't at, just a little party there.
Oh, Jesus. Sorry, baseball.
No, I know. I had no surprises. And there was a lot of people that couldn't make it. But, yeah, the old guy turned 40 here. So I got a cup from my parents. It says, weird being the same age as old people. Vintage 1986. So good year if you've got any drinks in your house from 1986.
Welcome to the club, buddy. You're a couple years behind me, but welcome.
You don't look a day over 22, Marv.
I appreciate that. There
we go. We'll keep pumping each other's tires here. But, yeah, I know we're probably going to have a downer of live viewership, which is totally fine because that means people are paying attention to their teams playing right now, or hopefully in large parts they are at some of these games. But we are going to try our best to get everybody caught up through the weekend's action, maybe even go back to last week and look at a couple games and then talk about what we've got coming up. Because as we know, or if you don't know, conference play starts Friday.
And, man, there are some big – I mean, if you look at the standings right now, and obviously there's been no conference games, but there's some pretty big first weekend matchups here. We're going to start to separate the top from the bottom very quickly.
Yes, we are. It's going to be fun to see how some of the teams line up, right? We've seen some teams play a little bit weaker of a schedule. We've seen some teams play some really strong ones. So once we've got them all going against each other, very excited to see some of that. We will probably wrap this show up a little faster because of the live games and us going live a little bit later than usual. But tonight we've got just your average weekend. I mean, I would say overall, Marv, I'll get your thoughts here. Nothing that blew me away out of what we did last week, but it wasn't disappointing. It was just kind of in the middle for me personally. I don't know what your thoughts are overall.
Yeah, it didn't seem like anybody really played super tough opponents last weekend, and obviously that might have been calculated with conference season starting this weekend. But I think we went what was our final record on the weekend as a conference?
Final record. How did I not? I thought I had that overall. Sunday included a 8-5 record on the day. I guess I didn't do the overall record for the weekend, actually. I'm sorry. I disappoint you with that.
Southern Miss swept. Texas State took 3 or 4. ULM took 2 or 3. Arkansas State lost. South Alabama lost. App swept. Coastal won. That was a big one. Georgia State.
Yeah. As far as a series record, I do have that. We were 8-6 overall. So again, just average. And there was probably some teams that I expected to win that didn't.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, not just again, it was really just average. I don't think it really helped a lot of our teams that we're talking about getting more respect and a better standing type of thing. But I don't think it hurt too many teams. I mean, it's hard to say too, because Arkansas State lost. I think all 4 of their losses so far this season have been by 1 run or something like that.
Yeah, they lost both of theirs this weekend by 1 run and 1 in the 14th inning. So they played super close competitive baseball in all their losses.
Yeah. Speaking of losses, we I don't know, Marv, actually, you had a very good weekend. So let's start with you. You climbed back up. You're tied for the overall lead with me, both 6-6 and 29-7 overall in the weekly pick series.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, right? Texas State's playing great ball. Figured they get three wins there. Had a sneaky feeling that Coastal is going to begin to right the ship out. We know about the injuries, but you got to figure that some of those guys that are getting more opportunities are kind of coming into their own now and might be pitching a little bit better. East Carolina's not having a typical ECU year, so took 2-1, and then I thought South Alabama was on a roll. I thought they would take the series there against La Tech.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, look, and for those that can't see it, we all took South Alabama to win the La Tech series 2-1. So we did think La Tech would get one. We thought it would be a little bit competitive. It's one of the reasons we pick the series we do, right, Marv? I mean, you helped me pick most of these actually from last week because you said these are the ones that are exciting. They're kind of toss-ups to some regard, and try and spread out some of the teams we're picking as well, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, those were – I guess you could have put Louisiana, Dallas Baptist in there for the other competitive series, but those are marquee matchups. I mean, Texas State's got a team coming from the West Coast. ECU, once again, has been a power, a regional contender for the better part of a decade. And then La Tech, we just kind of had to choose them because they're going to be part of the show next year.
Yeah, and I think that really, to me, was probably the biggest toss-up over the weekend. That was the hardest series for me to pick. Because La Tech hasn't been great, but they're still competitive. Like, their record hasn't been great. They're still competitive. And South Alabama has been pretty good, but then they've had some weird games. So that one was the hard one for me. I was pretty confident in the 2-1 Coastal pick. Obviously, Seth did that one backwards. So he remains very bottom, which is only three of us. But that 3-9 series record there doesn't look very good. However, I mean, he's still picking games very well. Like I said, so the overall record, for those wondering, so obviously with Seth and Marv getting the Washington State, Texas State exactly correct, they picked 3-1 in favor of Texas State. They got credit for 4 correct games, right?
Yep.
So even though I lost the series, I picked Texas State to sweep 4-0. I still got 3 games correct in that series. So if you're wondering how you get the overall plus the series, so the series is either right or wrong. That one's very easy. You win or lose. But you do get credit for the games being picked correctly overall. So that's just a little tidbit just in case people are wondering how those things are tallied. And I have no surprise in me because Ben James is the first commenter of the show, as always. What's up? Wolves up. He says, glad A-State got a win versus UALR today for an in-state game against Little Rock there. So that's good. And yes, beware of A-State's Lane Walton. The dude, I think Kara Ritchie was the one that I saw tweeted out. He's like halfway to the home run record already. And this was like after this past weekend. So that's not even taking into account today. So the guy's just a monster and good for them. I mean, he's part of the reason they've been so good offensively so far this year. So absolutely keep an eye out for him. And as part of that, A-State climbs up to number 4 this week in our power rankings. Marv, no surprise, Southern Miss staying at the top there after their victory in the midweek, even though they did drop the one right after the Nichols. They did beat, number 4 Mississippi State at the time, right?
They did, and they are in a very, very close ball game right now. Let me see if I can get that score pulled up for us really quick. Playing Ole Miss 1-1 game in the top of the 9th right now.
Ooh, yeah. I haven't been able to watch any of the games live tonight. Marv knows we tried to push this back a little bit. My son was at a hockey practice that didn't end until 8:00 Eastern time. So I said, going live by 8:30, like I may be lucky to be home by then.
Yeah.
We always say no free ads on this program here. But I did stop at the Arches on the way home. Right. And have you seen the viral video from the McDonald's CEO? I think he is.
I haven't.
Okay. If you haven't, along with Marv, he sits down and apparently tries this burger. He takes the tiniest bite. There's lots of parody things going around about it now. But this thing's called the Big Arch. I took a chance. I got it. Again, no free ads. This may be the best fast food burger I've ever had in my life. It looked picturesque. First of all, I was like, okay, this isn't smashed like a typical McDonald's burger. So, little side note, sorry but that's what I had for dinner tonight. So shout out to them. Pleasant surprise. Again, the video, if you watch it, you're going to be unimpressed by the CEO selling you on it. He talks about the burger as like this is a great product, and like we have some great lettuce product in here. So like it was just really awkward. Like it's exactly the type of speak a CEO would have, but the burger itself, again, McDonald's, throw us some dollars if you want to. It's fantastic. So I do recommend that.
We got plenty of money to throw around. We'll take a little bit of it.
Yeah. And plus, if you're a Marshall fan, they've got the Shamrock shake, so you can go with the green thing going on right now. So There's that. All right, back to the baseball, Marv, off that terrible tangent that we just went down. We've got Coastal at number 5. I'm not sure exactly where you had them ranked, but there was a lot of people with an outcry about Coastal dropping to number 5 in this week's rankings. What do you have to say about that, or where you had them specifically?
I think I had them 4. Once again, this is not an indictment of where we think they're going to finish. It's just an indictment of where they were currently. Cajuns hot. Texas State was hot. Arkansas State was hot. Kind of fitting for where they are. I mean, they had it, but once again, on paper, the ECU series win's going to look big. They're actually thumping Wake Forest right now, if I'm not mistaken, which would be really big for them as well. But and once again, like I said, alluded to earlier, some of their pitchers that are getting more opportunities now is they're actually up 9-4 in the 7th against Wake Forest.
Okay.
This is going to be fluid every week, so don't get too caught up or too butthurt about where your team is from week to week. This is how we see it. If you disagree with it, post your rankings. We'd love to see what you have to say.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we want, right, Marv? Like, sell us on why we're wrong, because sometimes we will take those things into consideration. I had an Arkansas State fan say, how is Texas State above Arkansas State? It can't be strength of schedule. It can't be based on RPI. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I mean, and he says it wasn't based on the eye test. Well, some of it was. That's kind of how we would do the thing.
They were on a 6-game win streak coming into the weekend.
Yeah. And so it was one of those things that we just valued Texas State a little bit more. And the great part about what we do is we don't have to give you the reasons up front. We put it together in the background. Also, I think the top, 3 through 5. So Texas State, Arkansas State, and Coastal Carolina was almost a coin toss. I mean, it came down to percentage points because every single person had them in a different spot slightly, I think. There might have been one of those teams that somebody had ranked in the same spot in 2 polls, but most of them were jumbled up a little bit. So it became like percentage points, quite different, quite honestly. So it's interesting to see how it came about. I didn't expect Coastal to go to 5. Obviously, it's a little surprising. It's kind of cool that at 6 and then at 7, you've got South Alabama and Troy, the 2 teams that hate each other the most. That's a nice little dynamic there as they continue to battle within those left side of the standings. We have that top 7, if you will, on the left and the rest on the right.
I think Troy finds itself on the right-hand side of that column in this week's power rankings.
Probably so. Yes, probably so. And they're playing a little bit of a tough schedule as they started out with, but you've got to start winning some of those games, and they haven't quite done enough of that, unfortunately.
The problem is they're 6-9 on the season right now.
Yeah, it's not a great overall record either. You're right. Ben James chiming in saying battle in the Borough this weekend versus Southern Miss as Jonesboro hosts Southern Miss, and they expect, I think, a sellout crowd for each and every game of that series, which would be great for 2 things. Obviously, just the atmosphere in general and proving to everyone else that Arkansas State baseball is kind of back, right? I mean, that's what they've been selling us on as fans on Twitter. I've never seen so much excitement and talk about the Red Wolves baseball program as I have so far this season. So this is awesome stuff. This is a product, I think, a little bit of other teams in this conference being so good that everybody wants to be at that level too. And so hopefully some of that is just others pushing them to improve. A big shout out to Silva as the head coach, obviously making most of that happen, and also trying to, for what it sounds like, also changing the culture in the area about the baseball team and the program. So
I mean, listen, you're having one of the better seasons that you've had to date, and you've got a top 10 team coming to your house. for your first conference series, you better pack it out.
Yep, absolutely. Don't disappoint. And also, like, you guys probably want that. They want all that energy and atmosphere.
100%.
Everybody, home or away, seems to play better when the crowd is on them or cares, right? So that is what we want to see out of the Jonesboro faithful, the Red Wolf faithful. Hopefully Ben James will be in attendance. He is also saying A-State has the best RPI in the state of Arkansas, even better than those Razorbacks. And you know that they can't stand that fact, right? I mean, they're 1-1 against each other straight up on the season, and A-State lost that second game by only 1 run. So, great
and we
stuff.
know how important RPI is as you start pushing towards the end of the season.
Yep, absolutely, we do. Just to mention, we pretty much went over that whole left side. App State at number 8, Georgia State number 9, Marshall 10, ULM 11, ODU 12, and no surprise here, I think, with the bottom two, JMU and Georgia Southern. I believe for the second straight week, both hold down 13 and 14. Excuse me. There was one Georgia Southern fan, I believe it was on Reddit, who said, "Hey, why do you have Georgia Southern ranked so high in your power poll?"
Hey, listen. Both JMU and Southern won their series this weekend.
That's true. They did. And just to recap, again, going back a little bit further than we typically do, but there were some really big games early in the week last week. Georgia Tech got a little bit of revenge on Georgia State, beating them 4-1. Although, I don't know. That's a pretty decent result.
Yeah.
So South Alabama, the team we talked about being good, jumping over to that left side with Troy, they hammered UAB 11-1. But the other two big ones here that I mentioned is Coastal Carolina being in a dogfight with number 13 NC State in Raleigh. They ultimately lose that game 6-4, but that was a 4-4 game, I believe, in the bottom of the 8th before it really changed hands there. So again, Coastal's not got the record that some people expected, or certainly that they wanted at this point in the season. But Marv, I mean, kind of competitive throughout and impressive in some regards of the game, right?
No, I mean, they're battling, right? Like, once again, we know what's going on with their pitching staff, but it's not like they're out here getting – they had one bad game. I think it was Illinois early in the season. But other than that, they're battling, man. And if they could get healthy, or some of these other guys can kind of rise their level of play, I think Coastal's still a really, really good baseball team.
Absolutely. I agree. I mean, I know Mr. TJ O'Sullivan, our resident Coastal Carolina fan and contributor and website editor, has been giving me a hard time in the background saying, "How do you have Coastal at 5? How come?" And I'm like, "Hey, man, they'll have every chance." But that's where we got them right now. Ben is saying, to note, Arkansas State took down La Tech 10-2 in that early week matchup last week. And when A-State scores, they score in bunches. It's true. I mean, if you look up, they are putting some of the most runs on the board in the entire country. So, and again, we mentioned that other one.
It helps when you have a guy that's on a murderous home run streak right now.
Yeah. Lane Walton is the name. Again, don't forget that one. And when you play him, you will know it. As we said, that Tuesday game, I think it was, Southern Miss took down number 4 Mississippi State. They rebound the very next night at home yet again. That first one was at home as well. And they lose to Nichols, which hilariously, the Southern Miss fan base was telling everybody before the game started, Nichols has our number. They always beat us. It doesn't make sense, but we expect to lose. Some people were saying and stuff, and then they did. Now, I don't think it hurts tremendously. Nichols still is a pretty solid program, usually in and out. But yeah, they do ultimately lose 3-2 at home. They had a shot, I think, to be easily in the top 5 had they won that game going into the weekend, right?
Yeah. And listen, coming out of a weekend series, then probably poured a lot more into the Tuesday night game than what you would expect, just because of what it meant. If they played a series, I don't think Nichols could beat them in a series. But coming off of, like I said, a weekend series and a Tuesday game, like to win it, but one game's not going to kill you. But hey, how about the Cajuns taking down number 2 LSU?
Yep. Yeah, that was a huge one, and that one in Lafayette. For those that don't know, that's a big deal, right? Usually they travel over to the box in Baton Rouge, which I think it's like an hour and a half, maybe about 2 hours at worst, from one spot to the next. So this was one that had a lot of people from both sides in the game. So that was awesome, not only for the atmosphere aspect of it, because we already know you could have a weekday game against Southeast Louisiana, excuse me, and Cajuns are probably going to pack it out. But to pack it out and then have just the next level atmosphere that they got to host in that one, I was actually just a tiny surprise the Ragin' Cajuns didn't sneak into the top 25. I think they've got to be just right outside that mark, Marv. I mean,
yeah, I don't know if a sweep of Dallas Baptist would have got them in, but they've got South Alabama this weekend. You know, they sweep that series. I think they've got a really good case to be in there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we have to mention this. SEC baseball this year is kind of average. I mean, they're not really, but compared to where everyone thinks they always should be and where people thought they might be, I'm not blown away by the SEC this year, right? Like, I think this is one of the more even years we've ever seen. We've seen some big upsets. Was it Western Carolina went to Georgia, beat those guys? We saw what was it? Was it Stenson that just beat LSU twice?
It was, yeah. LSU's up to 5 losses on the season, and hey, listen, a bunch of sunbelt teams have taken down SEC teams so far this year.
Yeah, and hey, let's shout out Mountaineer baseball as I wear this sweet hoodie that 3B member Seth gave to me, and they almost took down Wake Forest, number 15 at home. They did lose 9-8 in that one, but quite the battle. I mean, I didn't get to watch every pitch of that, but that was a great game. Fans brought the atmosphere, right, Marv?
I mean, I think it was like the first beautiful day in March for in Boone, and you got a big name like that. We had kind of talked about going into that game, had App not have got swept against Gardner-Webb, what would that crowd have looked like? But it's still like a phenomenal crowd on a beautiful day, and would love to see him get the win. But I mean, competitive game against a really good team.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we talked about the SEC not being blowing us away necessarily. Vanderbilt beat Troy 4-1, but not necessarily a blowout. Again, Georgia Southern struggles as Citadel beat them 7-1. Arkansas State took it to La Tech a second night in a row, and ODU puts up a bunch of runs against in-state opponent VCU and wins 12-10 there. That just wraps up Wednesday. And then we got into the craziness that was Friday, and I don't know. We won't go over all these, obviously. Is the Cajuns versus Dallas Baptist kind of stick out the most to you on Friday with the 6-5 final there?
I wouldn't say it sticks out. I thought that was going to be a tough series to begin with. I think Georgia State getting doubled up by Charleston Southern, that might be the most surprising game of that of the day.
Yeah, I guess that's true. That's not ultimately too surprising, but I mean, that one is. I'm sorry, the Cajuns versus Dallas Baptist probably going to be a battle to the end. Look at that guy Seth chiming in, digging that hoodie. He can give us a live update from the app game. I'm guessing he's home now.
It wasn't pretty the last time I looked at it.
Oh no!
Let's see if we can get a score.
They played Western Carolina tonight, folks.
Western's sneaky good, right? And
beat Georgia.
Last time I saw it, it was 9-3, and it was pretty late in the game. Final score 13-3.
Ah, dang. As you mentioned, though, Western a pretty good baseball team this year. Texas State went doubleheader on Friday with Washington State. That's kind of a weird series. So I'm pretty sure it was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday for their 4 games. They ended up obviously playing Thursday. We didn't discuss that one because it was the lone game on Thursday. Typically, not a lot of stuff going on then. But Friday,
I think they did a double on Friday and just one on Saturday.
No, they didn't play Saturday. That's the weird part, right? So they doubled up Friday. I'm guessing there was weather that they saw coming in Saturday, and they just went ahead and doubled Friday. Then they had the day off Saturday completely. Then they finished with 1 on Sunday. So they got all 4 games in. It was just a weird way to kind of do it. But again, maybe weather was the dictating factor there. JMU started their game against ETSU, but had to be suspended and then finished it on Saturday. As we'll see, Arkansas State and Oral Roberts' first game was postponed, so they doubled up on Saturday. Coastal got the better of ECU there. Again, we won't go through all of them, but just some of those ones to note. App State, got the victory over Presbyterian, which is located in South Carolina for people unaware where that school is. But here we'll move over to Saturday. JMU gets the best of ETSU twice in this one, which is, to me, kind of rather surprising, as we know ETSU's got a pretty solid program over there.
Yeah, they do. That ODU score really shocked me, to be completely honest. And then Arkansas State dropping 2 to Oral Roberts, both super close games, but didn't expect to see them lose 2.
Yeah, I didn't either. Georgia State wraps up their series on Saturday because they doubled up, I guess, again, expecting some weather Sunday. So they ultimately lose to Charleston Southern 2-1. Everybody else finishes up on Sunday. Ben is noting that the doubleheader for A-State and Oral Roberts was hard when they play a 14-inning game, then turn around and play the second game just 30 minutes after the conclusion of game 1. Yeah, that's what's tough when you get the weather involved and you can't go when you want. Definitely tough. But again, 2 one-run games. You'd hope that A-State could come out on the better end of that. To note, Oral Roberts wasn't even playing 500 ball before this weekend against A-State. So that's kind of the disappointing part. Like, you play a team that's pretty good and you drop 2 one-run games, you just say, hey, man, that's just kind of the luck of it. The bats were swinging a little better on the other side. But, against a team that's – I thought when I'd look at Oral Roberts' record, I'd be like, oh, okay, well, they're 9-4 or, something along those lines. And I was like, ooh, they don't even have a winning record. So that's tough to see.
Yeah, no, it is. I wouldn't have thought that they would have lost the series. I could have seen it going 2-1, right? Sweeping is hard. We all know that. But, hate it for Arkansas State. Would have loved for them to have got that series win and carried that extra momentum into their, massive series this weekend against Southern Miss.
Yeah, absolutely. Same. I don't really have anything huge to note on the rest of Saturday's stuff. So we'll just jump over, look at how some of these things finished up from like the busiest graphic you've ever seen. I didn't get up into dividing everything the rest of the way as I usually do on here. But Marv, break us down whatever notes you've got on some of these things so we can
all right. Want to give a big shout out to Graydon Harris, Southern Miss, in that to sweep 7 innings, 13 strikeouts. And at one point, he retired 15 batters in a row, which if you're good at math, there's 3 outs per inning. So 5 innings, every 3 up, 3 down, which is absolutely amazing. And James McCory from Georgia Southern over the weekend, 7 for 17, 3 home runs, 10 RBIs. And I read that he hit the furthest home run at that stadium, 485 feet.
Woo! That's awesome. You know what else is awesome, Marv? We've been doing this for a few weeks yet, and we've been kind of concerned because we haven't heard from this guy. But guess who's made his appearance?
There he is.
Artie Cat, baby. We got, we're going to work on this in the background. And Artie, if you can, and you're paying attention still here, send me another email. I probably have your email somewhere, but if you can send it to me, kind of get you back on top of the inbox here. We want to hang out with you again before Texas State leaves the conference. We'd like to hopefully make you a guest picker at some point this year as well. But we'd love to have you on the show one more time because you were an awesome guest. You've been here since the very start, and we would love to have you back on at some point here before we bid adieu to Texas State and the Bobcats. Good. He says he absolutely will. Good. That's what we like to see. So
one of the things that off the page to me here.
Yeah.
Look at Marshall. 25 runs.
Yeah.
That's
25-2. Did not let up. They just pounded the
don't know anything about St. Bonaventure, but man, you scored 25 runs and you're doing something right. And look, get the sweep, man. They needed it. I think we said it last week or maybe the week before. Like a lot of coaches, when we were doing the interviews, like off camera, were like, man, Marshall's going to be sneaky good this year. And I think we had them preseason 3 or 4. Didn't probably get off to the start that they wanted, but don't look now. They've won 5 games in a row.
Yeah. Yeah, and you have to question some of the competition, but just like you just said, Marv, it is hard to sweep. It's hard to keep win streaks alive in baseball, I think, more than any other sport. Because we all know, like, your pitcher's your best player on the typical day, and you don't always have the same guy go. You can't. It's not realistic. So it's a whole team effort every single time out, and definitely credit them on that one. As we mentioned, 8 wins series-wise, 6 losses on the weekend. Nothing's going to blow us away here. But again, we had some of those really nice midweek victories that helped the week feel a little bit better overall, probably. But yeah, the weekend could use a little work.
Little update just went final. Yeah. Coastal 10, Wake Forest 4. So don't look now. Coastal might be rounding into that form. And hey, man, shocker of the midweek so far. Georgia Southern up 6-1 in the 9th inning on Clemson.
Love it. I love it for them. I love it for the conference, right? Like, it's better when we're good. And so, again, after this weekend, you can do whatever you want, but really up until this point, we should all be cheering for each other. You don't have to outwardly root for somebody you don't like, but go ahead and hope that they get the victory by 1 run or something, those things all go to add into the benefit of the Sunbelt Conference overall, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. Especially the midweeks.
Okay, here's another. Yeah, go ahead.
No, especially these midweeks against the bigger teams. I mean, it just helps if every team in the conference gets one of those and everyone's RPI is higher when we play each other. Just makes our top look better. Absolutely does. So a little live update from Artie Cat himself says the Cajuns go down big. I think it was a 10-run game.
UTRGV. I love that name because it's always like hard way to say it. Yeah, 9-5 was the final in that one. And then East Carolina gets a little revenge on the Sunbelt victory from the weekend.
Lafayette. Yep. I got Louisiana up 9-5 right now in the 7th.
Oh yeah, that's true. I'm the same way as you. 9-5 misread it. Maybe he was talking about Lafayette loses big, slow start. Not sure what he's referencing there then. Because they didn't lose last week. That was the one where they got the LSU victory.
Yep.
Anyways, unless he was talking about the weekend slate.
No, they won 2 out of 3 from Dallas back. He'll clarify that.
Yeah, there we go. Anyways, that's good. And I was going to say the East Carolina Pirates get a little Sunbelt revenge and take down ODU tonight, 11-0.
Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah. Well, let's hope Georgia Southern can come out on top. Do you have a Troy score versus Alabama? By the way, as we're
6-3 in the bottom of the 7th, Alabama. And also Texas State is down 7-3 in the bottom of the 6th versus Texas. And Southern Miss still tied bottom of the 9th. Let's see.
Ooh. Might have to cut that one on immediately. But also want to note that Troy-Alabama matchup is interesting because it's happening in baseball. There is an outside possibility that this also happens in March Madness in basketball.
Yeah.
They may be forced to play each other, which would be very, very cool. And if you listen to Dave Schultz, as you should in the mornings, because he does a daily Sunbelt podcast for those that somehow aren't aware at this point, he's also said South Alabama was like the first team in the NIT because of how they got screwed royally last year. And if, again, you can listen to his show if you want to hear the details or look it up online for an article. But there is also a chance that South Alabama would play Auburn in the NIT. Obviously could be hosted at either site. As we know, Marv, App State and Wake Forest both made the NIT, I believe, 2 years ago, and App State was the better team record-wise, but guess who still hosted the game was Wake Forest. So,
go figure.
Yeah, you're looking at South Alabama saying maybe, record-wise and deservingly so, they should host Auburn. If that matchup were to happen, expect it to probably be at Auburn because, as Dave alluded to, Auburn could say something like, hey, if you don't let us in your tournament. So who knows if that will happen or not, but I don't know. I think my internet's going out, Marv. Have you been hearing everything I said?
I'm hearing everything. Your video is definitely freezing a little bit.
Gotcha. All right. Well, anything? So we talked about that. I mean, Marshall gets another shot at Louisville. Didn't go so well tonight with a 16-5 loss, huh?
No, it didn't. I'm really looking forward to this weekend. Like we alluded to earlier, kind of start to separate right from the beginning. So you got Southern Miss at Arkansas State. I think that's going to be really big. Cajuns host South Alabama. That's a really good series. Yeah, Coastal coming to App, which is really big. Georgia State, Marshall. Let's see who else we got. Troy, ODU.
Texas State.
Yeah, ODU, Troy, ULM, Texas State, and then JMU, Georgia Southern. So I've enjoyed watching a bunch of baseball, but I'm ready to condense it a little bit.
Yeah, I am the same way, and so that will be nice. We'll be realistically able to watch more of our teams because we can watch one game to watch two of our teams, which is great because 14 games outside of the conference is insane when it comes to baseball. You're just jumping around a little bit, scoreboard, watching the rest, and just hoping you get lucky and watch one of the good ones. But luckily, we've had a decent amount of those. So hopefully we can get some more victories in this midweek set. There's 3 more games? Yeah, 3 games tomorrow.
Southern Miss has runners on first and second with 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth.
Nice. Well, we'll jump out of here. We'll go finish that one up. Before we get out, Artie Cat says, he's saying he was not the sunbelt, but the World Baseball Series between Czech Republic and Japan. Yeah, World Baseball Classic. There you go. Took him into the 8th before Japan scored a lot, but literally 9-5 working guys that took Japan that far. Yeah, there was a electrician that was on the mound for the Czechia, as they changed their name from Czechoslovakia to Czech Republic to now Czechia. Who knows? The political thing over there is probably a nightmare. But anyway, there's a hardworking guy, and Japanese fans are like the coolest if you've not seen this kind of stuff. Somehow, some way they knew kind of his background and stood up and gave him a standing ovation as he left the mound after 5 scoreless innings against Japan starters. So heck of an outing for him. It's again, trying to pay attention to that, pay attention to college baseball, do our jobs. Do we have those, Marv? Do we have those?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, it's a lot to figure out and have fun with, but we try our best to do it, and we will get back on a more regular schedule next week and bring you some more Sunbelt baseball. Any last thing to end with before we get out of here, Marv?
No. If you haven't been watching the World Baseball Classic, though, it's been awesome. Ton of fun. I don't know if you saw the 17-year-old kid from Brazil that pitched against the United States the other day and got like Aaron Judge and Bryce Harper out. Kind of cool to see guys that you've never heard of before on the world's biggest stage, per se, not the World Series, but for baseball and, kind of the Czechoslovakia thing, like how they construct their roster. Really good baseball and fun to watch, obviously every 3 years, but not going to be redundant, man, but super excited for conference baseball to get started and kind of see how we shuffle the deck.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll end on Artie's note here. We beat Mexico in baseball for the first time in 20 years. So that is a good, fun note to end on. Check out the World Baseball Classic. Check out the rest of the weekday slate, and we will see you guys next week. Be on the lookout for weekly picks and updated power rankings. We'll see you guys next time.